adorable children, 3 boys and a girl. She is also an exclusive agent of Fan Milk Nigeria PLC. Losa Bukola believes that women's empowerment is power. Please put your virtual hands together as we welcome this hero, this amazing woman and mother, as she shares her story with us. Applause, please, everybody. Please, Ms. Bukola, are you with us? Okay, she will join us any minute now. Ms. Bukola, are you with us? Please unmute yourself. One minute, please.
Okay, probably she's having network issues.
Okay. I think we could go on to the next survivor, then we'll take her second. Okay. The second person that will be sharing her story with us today is Sumaya Musa. She lived and experienced gender-based violence, which is very, very tragic. But we are thankful that she survived and she's now here to share her story with us to encourage every other person. Sumaya Musa was born on the 21st September 1999. She's a microbiology student at Kaduna State University. She's from Kogi State, but was raised in Kaduna. And that's awesome because I also currently live in Kaduna. Yes. Can we put our hands together for this amazing young woman who is bold enough to share her story, not afraid of what other people will think, to show that we support her? Can we please drop our virtual applauses in the comment section? We are happy to have you here, Sumaya. Sumaya, please, are you online?
Sumaya, are you there?
Hello, good morning.
Oh,
good
that's
morning.
Awesome. Welcome,
Thank God.
Sumaya.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here with all of you here.
That's awesome. Happy to see you.
I'm happy to see all of you too. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you and we can hear you clearly.
Okay. Good morning. Sorry, let me get a more quiet space. There's a bit of noise here.
Okay, so we'll give you the next 2 minutes to get to somewhere conducive.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. So before Sumaya comes up, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of guts to do what she's doing and what every other woman is doing. Now, this is an opportunity for every other lady, every other woman that has suffered this kind of affliction to speak up. Speaking helps. Speaking ensures that someone knows what we have gone through and someone can sympathize. Yes, we know that there are terrible people in society who may not care what you have gone through and may use it to shame you. But the more we speak, the more our voice is heard. When you don't speak, your voice is not heard and no one knows. But when we speak, you're able to get help. And our stories are able to encourage other girls. There are many girls being raped daily in so many countries, and they cannot even speak because they are very afraid. But the more they hear our voices in the little way that we are doing it here on African Girls Network, the more they will speak up and will bring an end to this. Okay, now, Sumaya, over to you. Yeah, over to you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, I'm Sumaya Musa by name. I'm a victim of gender-based violence. And I'm a student of Kaduna State University, as you already know, microbiology. Okay, so at the age, I can't really recall at what age it started, but it started when I was quite young, I think from the range of 5 to 7 years. So normally, if I come back from school, I normally stay in my uncle's house in BG because my parents are working class parents and they normally go to work. So if I come back from school, I stay at the place till my parents return from around anything 5 6 thereabouts. That's when I will go home. So she kept on having its way with me. Let me just put it that way, having its way with me, having sex with me, and all that. So continuously kept happening, and I think nobody noticed. It got to a point where I stopped going to his bedroom. If I was to come back, I'll go to my house, pick up his chair, sit down outside, and be playing with other children. You still get children to call me, and his whole thing was like, it got to occur in general. Till it got to a point where, okay, I think I will be in public places. I will sit down if I'm like in family gatherings like that, and I sit. I'll be scratching my private part and all that. So it got to a point where one of my aunties, when she noticed it, and my legs, when I'm walking, my legs are a bit apart from each other. So she was like, "Why are you always working like this and your hands are always on your private part, scratching it?" And then another like so person that is doing so and so with me or to me. And then she was like, "Have you told your mom and all that?" I was like, "No, I haven't told her before." So when we first told my mom, the first time we told her, she confronted him and she asked him what happened, to what this person said. And she was like, and he was like, he denied the whole thing. He said I was lying and all that. And that was the end of it. They didn't believe me. So he still continued. He didn't stop. Continued till I think 2008. No, 2007, 2008, thereabouts. We now went to the village for holidays. It has been long since I went to the village, so I went to the village to stay with my people. So it was there I felt ill and I was rushed to the hospital, and I kept like testing like different medicine. We went to the hospital, we went to herbal clinic. Nothing was working. So then it was that night, I think, when I was still sitting in the village, that my mom now told my dad that this is what I told him was going on, and this is what she did. She thought it was a lie and all that. So that was, I think it was already late by that time. That was when my dad brought me back to Kaduna. We now went to like our hospital. The hospital I was registered under NHIS. I now went there. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Yes,
Please.
we
Yes,
can hear
can,
you. Please
Sumaya.
go on.
Okay. So when we came back to Kaduna from Kogi State, he now rushed me to the hospital. And a friend of his, that is because it's a hospital that is affiliated to the school that my dad works, because it's a staff in Kaduna State University, Kaduna State Polytechnic. So he now told the doctor what my mom told him, and then he tested me. I think I was sure. They all ran different tests on me, and I came out negative. And then they just gave me lots of medications and I think some emotional treatment. I don't know how to put it sharp, but the sharp what do they call them? I've forgotten the name. So after some time, I think I came back to normal. And my uncle, when I came back, then he became sick. Due to, I think it was a 2 week sickness. After that, he passed on. He died. So, okay, everything was back to normal. I was okay. I was going like every normal child until 2016. But before that time, I kept going in and out of the hospital. But most times then, it was either malaria typhoid. They normally test me for malaria typhoid. So it got to a point where, see, that fateful day, 2016, I can't say this is just 2 days, but 2016 it was the year. I went to the hospital, and the moment the doctor seen me, was like, Maya, you again. What is the problem? So like, no, it's irregular now. Weakness and this and that, all the symptoms that I normally complain to him about. It's like, this time around I have to admit you. He admitted me, and I'm sure when he did run the tests, the various tests on me, so that I was positive, but he didn't tell me. He gave us another confirmation test. So we went to the clinic opposite the school clinic, and we run the test again, and that was where the news was broken to me that I was HIV positive. And wow, I'll say that's like the worst. I don't know, it's not the worst thing that I've ever experienced for me generally, because it was really hard, to be honest. Okay, fine. They gave me a 2 week. Like I was put under a regimen, my ARV regimen in the clinic. So I started taking the medicine. First 2 weeks was okay. Despite I'll cry at night and all that I can't take it. But it got to a point where I stopped taking the medicine. I won't take it. When they give me from the hospital, I'll pour it inside a leather bag and throw it in the dustbin. Or sometimes pour it in the toilet, flush, and I'll still go back when is my next appointment to collect my regimen. And it kept happening subsequently until I got this meeting where we met lots of people. And I met, okay, I'm not alone. There are actually other people that are also living with HIV in Kaduna. And that was like the happiest day of my life because I met others, adolescents like myself then, that I could relate to and tell my experience to. And that was like my first opening and experience to meeting other people. And I realized I wasn't alone. But I still have this self stigma that I have for myself because I'm still afraid of the opposite sex up to today. I think that contributes to why I'm still alone and all that. But I pray with time and everything everything will go away, inshallah. So it was nice talking to all of you. That was my experience. Thank you. Bye bye.
That was really a touching story from
Wow. Wow.
Sumaya, seriously. And funny enough, a lot of young girls, a lot of girl child go through this almost every time without the knowledge of their parents. It's really, really heartbreaking. And actually wish there's something that's to be done because I can't just imagine how you will see a child and you will be, I don't know what that is called. I don't know. Because a young child that is not at that level of having sex yet, and you
Yeah,
are
not fully formed.
like it's really, 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 really sad.
Mm.
It's really sad, and it's go on and on in the society. Almost every girl, like almost every girl child, experience this, and that's why it's very important for our parents to say to watch out for their girl child because some of these things happen without you knowing. Okay, so I don't know if we have Madam Bukola back so that she can share her own story before we move on. Is she there?
Oh, okay, Ms. Bukola, are you available, please?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, we
Okay.
can hear you now. Just increase your voice.
Please increase your
volume.
voice, please. All the volume of
Okay, I've done that.
Okay, please, is your
Can you
device
hear me
close
now?
to you? Yes, we
yeah,
can.
we can hear
Perfectly,
you
ma.
now.
And we can even
Perfectly.
see you too. Awesome, ma. Welcome. Okay, just to take a quick recap.
About the network.
Okay.
No problem. We are happy you are on now. To take a quick recap of Mrs. Bukola, she is a survivor of GBV. She is also a graduate from Lautech University in pure and applied mathematics. I think that is awesome. I think that's awesome. A woman to study mathematics so deep.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Now she did her NYSC in the North, Taraba, which shows that she has gone around Nigeria really. She's blessed with 4 adorable children, 3 boys and a girl. She's also an executive agent for Fan Milk Nigeria. She believes that women empowerment is power, and we support you totally, ma. Welcome,
Exactly.
Mrs. Bukola. Please, you have the stage now.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so sorry for that network. I'm so sorry. I'm so happy to be in your midst, and I really appreciate Age Network. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. You're wonderful, and I'm happy to join your advocacy,
Thank
against domestic violence. And I'm happy to be in your midst this afternoon. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I was a victim, and right now I'm doing fine by God's grace. I actually came out, a bit, maybe let's say a bit longer because I was in that marriage for like 15 good years before I could, back out when my life was, at so much risk. So I had to back out. And because of the children, they are growing, And I wouldn't want them to now start seeing all this mess, to now start seeing all this violence between me and their dad. So I had to like do something for their sake because it will change, it will change. I was like enduring, maybe it will change, because of the children. I don't want a broken home, I don't want a broken family, and I don't want this, society stigmatization, and I don't want, there's family pressure too, that once you are married, you are forever in there, you understand? So, and I don't want to like be a disappointment to so many of my family members, especially my parents, my siblings, people that are actually looking up to me. So thank God for everything. I'm out now, though the case is still ongoing, but I thank God that I'm alive. I had to live, you understand? So I bless God for that. Domestic violence is not something to experience. From my experience, it can be in fact, it can be traumatic, emotionally, physically, the woman can be in so much depression. Let me put it that way. And you know what depression can cause, you understand? So, but I thank God that for some friends hold my hands and tell me, no, don't worry, it will work out. It's not easy to say, okay, now I want to be a single mother. I want to be all alone. I want to be on my own. It wasn't easy, but I thank God for friends, and I thank God for the courage, that God gave me to actually, speak out, to come out and say, no, I'm not going to continue with this anymore. I'm not going to, be in this depression anymore. I'm not going to like, take this anymore. So I had to like, okay, fine. I had to put a stop to it. I had to like do something for myself. So I thank God for that. And right now I'm doing fine. I'm actually using my experience to help other women. And for a woman, you need to be empowered, because even when I couldn't come out, maybe probably I was financially handicapped, as in I was like, where will I start from? My account was 0 naira. How will I, be on my own? Where will I start from? But then I had to, gather this courage. Like, thank God I ventured into a business that I was like, okay, fine, this business, let me put in my effort so that this business can actually, fetch me something that can serve as my, backup plan, that can serve as my, plan B, as in when I'm out, at least I can see something to fall back on. So I use this to actually, tell other women that for you to say you want to, because you need money. If you're backing out, going back to their parents' house is ideal. Like someone like me, going back to my parents, I wouldn't want to go there to make them feel bad about me, or feel bad about what their daughter is going to. So I would have preferred to like, okay, I actually prefer to be on my own. As in, you will need money to be on your own. You will need money to get yourself an apartment. You will need money to, do the business, what kind of whatever business you want to do. You will need money. So I always advocate for women to be empowered. You need to be empowered. And that's why I'm happy to be here today, to tell younger generation, to tell younger women that are not yet married, that don't rush into marriage. Don't rush into it, because you don't know what this marriage can, fetch you. You don't know what you are in until you are there. You don't know what you are here for until you are there. And marriage, they do say, is like a wrapped gift. Until when you've been given, you are in, that you open it, that you see whatever is in that wrapped gift, good or bad. But fine for those that get the good ones, fine. But for those that get the bad ones, it's not easy to say, okay, fine, you want to come out without, without you, financially buoyant, or without you having your own job, or without you having your own work, or you understand. So it's not easy. So I always tell women that no, fine, you have to, before you get into marriage, you have to be empowered. Face your work first. Have a good job, have a good work. You understand? Have work that that you can, that okay, fine, you can stand on your own in case of in case of the unknown happen. You understand? So my experience, I actually married to a narcissistic man. I didn't know anything about narcissistic until when this happened to me, that I started, finding out about, making research, doing, making research of, am I really wrong? I've been asking myself so many questions that why would somebody be accusing you of what you are saying? Somebody that doesn't believe that you can achieve anything. And right there, as the woman to be, but marry somebody making, marry somebody that feels, no, as a woman, money in your hand is very dangerous. Marry somebody that feels, oh, I must be in control all the time. I must control you. You understand? Marry somebody that feels that so bossy that doesn't want, that your opinion doesn't count. So I had to, like, I started making, making this research, and I found out that I married a narcissistic man. And a narcissistic person doesn't see anything wrong in himself. A narcissistic person doesn't see whether you feel good or you feel bad. He only wants what he wants. He only wants what he wants. So whatever you want is of no value, is irrelevant to him. So that actually made my own case, very, very bad, as in very bad. Let me put it that way, very bad, or very, as in worst. Because when I say I want to object, that's when, that lion of tribe in name want to attack me. That I say, no, you must sit down there. That's where you must be. When I want to say no to any of these, requests, that's when it will be so violent. It will be, it can do anything, push you, be rough with you, you understand? Because you always feel, no, a man is the head of the family. So whatever that man says, whatever he says is final. So your opinion does not count. So I was married into that kind of marriage. And and before I could realize what I was in for, I can say it was a bit late, because I actually stayed in that marriage for 15 good years. And when I found out that my children are already growing up, and they can pick this habit, and they can, seeing their mom, their father fighting, arguing all the time, fighting, and the man, being abusive, trying to like tell no, I'm the man, I'm the head of the family, no, whatever I say is final. And when I'm not daft, when I'm not I'm an educated person, so I know what is right from what is wrong. So when I try to like, no, this is wrong, that's when the trouble, the violence, we start, and we can do anything. We can, and handle me and do anything. You understand? So, but then finally, before my time is up, it got to a stage, a particular stage, that we had to like move from one apartment to another apartment. That actually the apartment was like, okay, we're like staying in my family house, and that unfaithful day, I was sick. I used there's what we call Rob methylated Rob. This we call it Rob. This. So I was sick, so I was having catarrh and all that. So I used that Rob, and he came in and he was like, "Why will I know that that when I knew that he doesn't like Rob, that why should I use Rob? That he doesn't like that smell." of drug. That why should I use drugs? So because of that, I must leave the house, or because of that, I must leave the room. Me, that was sick, and I was even shivering. But he didn't even mind. He didn't even mind the situation I was. It was like dragging him out of the room that no, I must go somewhere else because of that smell, that rough smell. So because of that, it resulted to like another big thing, right in my father's house, because they were like, the house is like, is an upstairs, so we're like, managing downstairs, because since we didn't have any tenant, and when we came to Lagos, so we were just managing that apartment because it was close to where our investment and in the school business. They were very angry, they were very angry at that. So all this while that this uh, lady has been complaining about you, and you could still do this right in front of them. No, that no, this is bad. So because of that, my dad was like angry, talked to him, So because of that, he was like they disrespected him. So he had to like move, his stuff to another apartment. That he went out to look for another apartment that he was going to leave the house. So on leaving the house, then because I was actually depending on him, I was not doing anything freely on my own. I was actually supporting him, whatever he's doing. I was just there supporting him, working for him without being paid. So when he now moved, his stuff from the house, I now realized that he moved everything, even to the frame that I put my pictures. I bought the frame. So he just removed my pictures, from the frame tree, So I was like, this is my this is my life. Is this how I want to like continue living my life? No. So that means all this while in my 15 years of this marriage, in my, staying with him, working with him, have achieved nothing. As in, I have nothing, zero naira account. So now he moved everything and he left nothing for me to say, okay, this is your own. In fact, that was when I now said, I now thought of, oh, fine, I can now start my own business. As in, I cannot forge ahead. I can now do something for myself, as in, to be financially empowered as a woman, that I can now do something. And luckily for me, that time somebody had already introduced this business, family business to me that I can actually do. So I, because of the something triggered me, and I had to like start the business, with full force that no, this business, I must do it and I must succeed in it. So and now, I paid for I registered with Farmmate as an exclusive agent. I started the business. The business started flourishing. I started putting all my best in the business. And I realized that fine, I can. For a woman to say say, okay, she wants to stand on her own, she must be empowered. So this business has actually, helped me to like, okay, fine. I'm not a non-entity, I'm not that useless. I can actually do something, and thank God the business is doing fine and the business is doing well. And when I started the business, okay, when you now left, hello, do I still have more time?
Not really. You can just round off.
Okay. So fine. So when I started this business, so this business has been something that has been, inspiring me that, okay, fine, I can do something, I cannot live in depression, I can actually be financially buoyant, I can financially empowered, So I put in my efforts, and this business has been working well for me. So when he now found out that, oh, I'm doing well in a business, he got jealous again. And he started frustrated, because after he left, family, we still came together, we did family meeting, the child joined us together again. I moved into the apartment that he rented, and I quit his own school business, and I faced my business, my family business. And he started bringing out, so many, so many frustrating things, as in, because he saw that, I being empowered, that I have my own money, that, oh, fine, I can make decisions, and he started, frustrating me, take bringing
Wow.
up all sorts of things, as in time to come in, time to back, and unfortunately, this very day, I came in, I think around 7 or past 7 or so. He was like, go back to your shop. I told him when it's 7, he was there. And that 7, maybe I was there attending to my vendors, when they collect my market like that, they come back in the evening to make, to remit the money and, take go, and it started, I was like wanted to lock the door on me, but unknowingly go down the staircase. In fact,
Wow, that's
I
too
almost
much.
lost my in fact, in fact, it was so I didn't prepare for that. So I had a dislocation, and that actually made me to reporting to domestic violence in Alausa, at Ikeja, and they called him, they called us, and they asked me questions that they still want to continue with the marriage, but then I was still naive. I was like, okay, fine, I want to continue. Okay, now said, okay, fine, that they will give us a counselor if I want to continue. So they gave us a counselor, Dr. Sarah, to counsel us. Like, okay, maybe we need to know what is right, and he needs to know some things as a man. So I thought maybe the counseling session will actually help. But when the day when we were like going for the counseling session, they will be arguing, telling Dr. Sarah that she's biased, being a woman, that she's biased, and we never listened. So the counseling did actually worked out for us. So the next thing is he did was that, okay, fine, that his business in the north, that he had to like go back to manage his business. So then he's moving his family to the north. That so me, I should go and close down my business. That is moving the family to the north. I said, no, this business that I have, I can't close it down. You just go to your north, go and stabilize your business. Leave us, we are fine here.
Wow, that's so much.
Really too
That's
much.
so much.
In Lagos. He said, no, that no, it's moving. Stop me, to stop that business for me, and just, I'm being, financially empowered, and if felt so threatening about it that no, he said, he even say, he said that he can't control me any
Wow. Wow.
longer. So that because I was having getting my own money. To my surprise, and kidnap the children from school to the north. In fact, when I called the teacher, the teacher that was in charge, of the school, that okay, I was coming to pick my children, not knowing that I could with the teacher, because I thought the teacher was coming to pick the children. The teacher told me to come in the evening. So I now called in the evening again that are they ready now? The next thing the teacher told me was that their father already came to pick them. I was like, their father was in the north. How come he came to pick them? So I dropped the call and I called him. I said, where are you people? I was told that you came to pick the children. And he said, yes, that they were already on their way to the north. That me, I should hold my Lagos. If I like, I should join them. Or if I like, I stay in my Lagos. So he now moved. That was when he started moved the children to the north, and he was like telling me to send all their clothes, everything, their things to the north. I should send it. I said no, that I didn't actually have.
Oh my God. Wow.
Because I can never send their things to you as the children. So family in meetings upon meetings, we had meeting, and they're like, okay, he now told them that he can't be paying school fees in Lagos, that he still has a school in the north that is running, and he cannot afford the school fees in Lagos. So the family meeting, they were like, okay, fine. That the children said they are okay in the north, that I should share. I can hear that he said it is not, it wasn't financially buoyant to pay school fees here in Lagos, that I should just let them do that. I should be the one going to check on them. Why, I put somebody in charge of my business here in Lagos, which I initially agreed to. But on getting to the north, to go and check on them, things change, as in fact, the phone I took there, he smashed it. He smashed it out. It was a narrow escape from the heart, like run out. It was so, it was so violent that he was like, no, that if I cannot stay in the north, that he's not going to anything happen. Things that my mind with them in the north.
That's really bad experience.
Stay with them back again. I said, look, this business that you're actually fighting to protect, I'm still going to do my business, whether you like it or not. I'm not going to back out from this business because I know you quite all right that whenever we argue or we have misunderstanding as a man, being an artistic person, he will not give me money. He will tell me that he's angry. So it's because he's angry, he won't give us money for feeding, for anything. But this business that I have now, even if you don't give me, I can take care of myself. So because of that, I will not let you take the business from me. I will not allow you to tell me, no, I can't do the business. No, I won't take that. So he now said, okay, fine. If I know that I'm not going to close down whatever I'm doing in Lagos, then he's no longer interested in the marriage. He now served me a petition letter that he can't, and moreover, he wants to take custody of the children. So that's the case that is even on right now. So I think we are having our next adjourned case is on the 15th, which I'm planning to attend because the lawyer said I should attend.
15th of this month, right?
Of this month, yes.
Okay.
But right now the children are still with him because he said he wants to take the custody of the children. That I can hold my Lagos, I can hold my business, I can do whatever I want to do in Lagos. But then I should that if I cannot oblige, if I cannot, conform to whatever he wants, he cannot, he's no longer he's no longer interested in the marriage. He cannot continue that. But then the children cannot be with me. So it's because of the children actually that I'm actually taking up the case that I have to get myself a lawyer that with the kind of character he has, I don't think he can actually take care of the children. I wouldn't even want the children to pick that habit from him. So that's why I'm actually fighting the case because of the children, so that I can have the custody of my children.
Wow. Thank you so much, ma. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mrs. Busola. Your story is something else. It's so good that we are willing to share with us. I am sure every young person here has learned one or two things about marriage, whether they like it or not.
Of course.
We're so grateful that you shared this. It's a real battle. We'll be very grateful if you could give us in time to come via email updates.
She actually gone through this thing for how many years? 15 good years.
15 years. That's a very long time to suffer. A very long time to suffer. Wow. Thank you so much, Ma, for sharing. Thank you. Okay, now, Margaret, we're moving to the next item. Please, you can still drop your contributions, your questions. Yeah, with the link that's on the comment section. Please do send them in towards our panelist session.
Okay. And before that, please, if you have any advice for all the stories we are sharing, you can also drop your advice to your contribution too. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so this is another story from a person. She asked to be shared anonymous because she doesn't want her name to be out there. Okay, our story, she said it all started when she was 6 years old, living with her parents in a village. And and my father was our town chief and was as growing up children who are where to do in the big city. my elder sister, okay, my father have grown-up children who are well to do in the big city. My elder sister daughter offered to take me with her to the city, and with time, the entire village knew I was leaving for the city. But there was this one man that lived behind our house whom my father never saw eye to an eye. As a child, I wasn't even so I didn't partake in their problem. So it could send me and my siblings on errands, and we would run them. But this fateful day, he asked me to help him take mangoes inside his house. And when I entered, he came along into the house. The next thing I saw was he picked and placed me on the bed. I became scared because of the dark, and I used to be scared of the dark. Then he said something happened and that I should stay still. I was really scared. The next thing I noticed was that he pulled down my pants and began to cry. Then he told me to be quiet, that he would leave me in the dark, and before he took off his pants as well. And then we were not given sex education, so I didn't know what was going on until I felt the pain in between my legs. I let out a loud cry. I cried too hard for help because of pain, but no one came to my rescue. When I was done, he said I should not say anything or he will kill my mom. And he was known to be an herbal doctor. Wow. And shortly after that, I left the village and he came to live with my sister's daughter. Each time I tried to talk about it, I fear being stigmatized, and the fear of who will believe me that I just keep quiet about it. I have lived with this pain for 17 years now. Wow. That's a story from a girl who had experienced sexual violence too, and she has kept it for a long time. I guess it's the first time she's sharing the story with us, and you can just imagine the emotional trauma she's passing through right now. I believe no girl child is should experience this seriously, because everything that we do, or everything that affects us physically also affects us emotionally. Just imagine what this girl has passed through. I'm very sure there are some times she will sit down and be imagining things. Maybe she will dream and be seeing this thing flashing back all over again. These things are bad and it needs to be taken care of. That's why we are asking every girl, every woman going through this to speak out. There is help out there. It's when you keep quiet and you keep this thing in dark, before you know, you become what you don't want to become. Before you know it, you will die before your time. Please speak up and heal. Thank you. So Fred, I don't know, is there any other thing before we move in?
Okay, that's awesome. What they have all shared is very awesome. Shortly before we move to the next activity, okay, in my practice as a public health worker and an alternative health specialist, recently, about last month, I had a client who had, when I checked her female genital organs, it was really bad. They brought her because they said she was having challenges with sleeping and all. I noticed she had an enlarged heart. Her whole nervous system was a wreck. And when I checked, I asked, have you had sex before? Because she was a young girl, and she said, no. But I looked at her, she had to bow down her head to say no. And immediately she busted out into crying. She was wailing and shouting very loud. And after I calmed her down, I asked her to say what was wrong. Now she's from one of the villages in Kaduna State here, so she really doesn't speak English. She just speaks Hausa. And she said when she was around 7 years old, an uncle, when they were doing Salah celebration, So the children usually in the north here, they go to give food to other people in each person's house. So she went to this uncle's house with the tray her mom gave her to go and give them food. And he told her to come inside with the food, and then he raped her. And this is her cousin. They are so close in the family that the shock of it made her develop an enlarged heart. And from that age, she could no longer go to school. She could no longer focus. And it just damaged that young girl's life. So gender-based violence is something that it's very big. But I believe with the steps that African Girls Network is taking towards it by bringing enlightenment to it, I believe we'll be able to put an end, or at least take positive steps towards ending this violence by speaking up. Okay, now on to our next event. It should be the panelist session. I think we have a 3 minutes break before that.
Okay, before that, I don't know, for the stories that I was shared, I would like Tatenda and Eta Jo Maria to share their own view about how this, because most of the 3 story that we shared, it was about rape, sexual violence, and stuff like that, and mostly among young teenage girls. How can we really control this? Because truly speaking, most people will not even tell you about it. Most of these children will not tell you about it. And it's changed them totally. It changed their mentality. And once they become what they don't want to become in the society talk back about them. Maybe some people, they will turn to a sex worker just because of that, not because of anything. Please, how can we control this? What advice can be given to these people that have gone through this? Please, either of you, Tatenda or Eta Jo Maria. Lisa, are you still there? Jane, you are from mute already. You can go
Yes,
on.
I'm on mute actually.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was your question?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Sorry, what was your question?
Okay, I said we've heard a story about different young girls, different girls at their tender age from 7, 6, 5, being raped, sexually abused by somebody older than them. And for a long time, there's nothing really done about it, because all the story that we heard, we did not hear anything like the person was arrested or something was done. But these girls just keep it to themselves till they grow up, which actually affect them. What can be done? What are the advice that we can give to these girls? And apart from that, what can be done to reduce this sexual violence among these children?
Okay. Yes, I think sometimes family it just helps in these victims to bottle up. They help the prevalence, they contribute to the prevalence of sexual harassment and sexual abuse of girls, and they help in concealing this from the public to the extent that these kids actually, they feel scared to report. So I think that comprehensive sexual education should be taught in schools at a very early age. From the moment that they're able to speak, even at kindergarten, actually, that's when they should be taught, although, you know, it's something that can be a taboo for some people to teach a child, but then I think it's very important to tell them that if a man does this to you, you should report and don't be scared. And if the family doesn't listen, especially the children should be taught to report to the other older people who are responsible for this, like the teachers as well, or a neighbor. It's better that way. And I think comprehensive sexual education should be encouraged in all schools, because I've realized that some schools, although the government has got a curricula on that, some schools do not actually teach children about that. It's a subject that is omitted a lot. So it should be encouraged.
Even of recent in Nigeria, they are talking about scrapping sexual education from the syllabus, which is we are still fighting against right now.
Yeah, it's wrong.
It's really wrong. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I don't know. We also have another person there, Comfort. Kashi, are you there? Comfort. Please, you can unmute your mic and at least say I. All right, probably she's having issue. Okay. All right, so we move on. Faith.
Okay. Now on to the next event or part of our event. We're going to be having a panelist session in this part 3. We'll be discussing on pandemics, most closely known to us is the COVID-19, and insecurity also as a bottleneck to ending violence against women and girls. Now, using a case study of the Bayelsa flooding that recently happened in Nigeria. Now, the insecurities during the pandemic has been terrible. Some months ago, about 2 months ago, last month, there was major flooding in Bayelsa State that destroyed a lot. Pandemics and natural disasters like floods can amplify insecurities and violence against women and girls, particularly violence committed by intimate partners and other male family members, also known as domestic violence. Despite our best efforts, natural disasters and pandemics cannot be predicted, which makes it more challenging to put an end to this violence against women and girls. Now, some of the things we have noticed, violence against women and girls, especially domestic violence, has intensified. Just imagine being in an isolated place. Now, some of these people have been isolated as have been molested by their close relatives. Like, for example, Samaya said it was her uncle, and then when she got a bit better, they sent her back there, and the man continued. So it's terrible. Isolation has increased because there are not enough houses or space to put people in. Now, the low income and lack of employment has also affected it because these men could actually be gainfully employed and be too busy to see a small girl to go and rape, and the girls too could be learning a skill or doing something, going to school also, that would keep them away from these terrible men. We also have the issues of cramped living conditions where in one family, in one house, let's say 2 rooms, you have over 10 people living there. Let's say the man and his wife have 3 children. Relatives from the man will come, relatives from the woman will come, and then everywhere is crowded. Gender-based violence is not just physical, it's also psychological. Like, there could be children living in that house and then have to hear where adults are having sex and all. It's very terrible. Now, education of the children at home has been affected, and so they don't learn things like sex or sex education that should help them protect themselves. Also, things like restrictions of movement has also affected people because there's nowhere you want to go to. For example, everywhere it's flooded, you can't say you want to run to the mosque, to the church to go and find shelter from someone that is abusing the person. Also, these pandemics and these insecurities have caused emotional violence. Now, gender-based violence is something like Mrs. Busola explained, where she suffered violence in her marriage, not physical violence most of the time, but psychological violence. She was made to feel like she was nothing. This is why when she was able to get and make money for herself, she was very grateful and appreciative of that opportunity. But you see, he still tried to take it away. Now, I feel like taking away the children is a way to make her suffer. All these are emotional violence that can affect people, cause things, lots of diseases, heart attack, depression, which could lead to low blood pressure and all. Now, we have psychological violence. And as we are already saying, psychological violence where the person is made to feel less, emotional violence where the person is made to feel unloved or unappreciated. Then there is sexual violence, where you see people like parents. I've heard of fathers that raped their children. Joyce Meyer, an American preacher, she's an example of someone that was raped by her father from when she was 8 years old till she was 21. For 13 years, she was being raped by her father constantly. Now, all these things are things that pandemics can cause. During the pandemic, it was heard that it was given statistics show that the rate of teenage pregnancies increased. It shows that the rate of domestic violence, some men killed their wives during that time because they were not just ready to stay together with them, which brings us to the physical violence. Many men beat their wives and their children to death. I think I heard of a story of a man that flogged his 2-year-old daughter for not writing to properly. He beat her until she died. That is also gender-based violence. It's not just sexual. If we stop seeing gender-based violence as a sexual thing, it will help broaden the scope to be able to accommodate every other person going through challenges like Jo Maria shared. She said someone just pulled her. That shouldn't happen in a proper society. You can't just put somebody that you want to talk to the person. So they feel she's a woman, so what can she do? After all, she's just a thing, not a being. So these are all parts of what gender violence is about. And this is how COVID-19 has affected it. Now, we have some statistics here which we would like to share. 45% of women reported that they or a woman they know has experienced a form of violence against women or against girls. 7 in 10 women said that that verbal or physical abuse by a partner has become more common. Really, even in ordinary boyfriend-girlfriend relationships, they're not married yet. Even among brothers and sisters, in some homes, the boys are made to feel more important than girls. They make them feel like the girl is a second-class citizen or not really a human being, so they can treat their sisters anyhow they like. Now, 6 in 10 women, based on UN statistics for 2021, says that 6 in 10 women felt sexual harassment in public spaces has worsened. Last year, or 2020, a governor in New York state governor in the US, was being prosecuted for sexual harassment against his personal assistants. About 5 ladies came up to say this man would make passes at them, he would touch them inappropriately. All these are parts of gender-based violence. Okay, now moving forward, Nigeria, we have the 2022 Nigeria floods. It has been terrible, and the 2022 Nigerian floods affected many parts of the country. Yes, most part of the federation was affected. From the federal government data, it shows that the flood has displaced over 1.4 million people and killed over 603 people, injured more than 2,400 persons, and about 82,035 houses had been damaged. These are not just thatched houses. Some of these houses are very beautiful high-rise houses which people invested all they had to build. Now we learned that about 332,327 hectares of land has also been affected, and this could also affect food and all that. Now, the most affected states are now in Nigeria are Anambra, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, and Rivers in southern Nigeria, and the Federal Capital Territory in central Nigeria. I think that flood in the FCT came from Niger State and then into Abuja. Now, women and girls and how they have fared now during the 2022 Nigerian floods. The disaster has exposed more women and girls to danger, insecurities, and their privacies can no longer be maintained. For example, now, it affected the roads, the bridges, communication lines were down. Even if a young girl was suffering from abuse, who could she call at that time? Because most of the lines came down. It was difficult to reach people in Bayelsa and all. It affected the girls' education. Why? So in some parts of the South, boys are more valued than girls. So when there's lesser income in the family, they tend to push all the funds and finances to finance the boys' education while leaving the girls behind because they believe they should just marry. They are just made to be married. Now, that has also caused an increase in child marriages, where these girls are giving off to whomever they please, just so they could get money. You know, some of them, sometimes it's not really as if these people are rich, it's just the money they will use to eat for the night or drink for the night, and then they give up their daughter like that. It has affected sources of income, houses, and education, and it has left young girls at the risk of sexual abuse because many people had to move from their own house where they were comfortable, where a girl could have a menstruation in private, to a place where there's many boys in the room, but you have to change there because there's no other place you could go to. It has increased violence because when there are cramped spaces, people tend to become very violent. Everybody tends to try to struggle for survival. It has also led to harassment. You know, females are known to be more emotional than males, and that is not bad. Now, since it's something that should be known generally, some girls still suffer things like being said, come on, no be girl you be, I beg an ordinary woman you be, you know, where they are made to shut up and not contribute to anything. Those kind of harassments are things that women and girls have suffered in the 2022 Nigerian floods. Okay, now all right.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation, Faith. So
Thank you so
looking
much.
at odds, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine and clear.
Okay, so looking at what's going on, this pandemic, yeah, we have normal, in a normal society, when there's no pandemic, when there's no flood, when there is no natural disaster, women are still going through violence. So not to talk of time that these women are vulnerable and are exposed to more danger, more insecurity. How can we in the society how can we in the society be able to take care of these women? And even most organizations that are in that particular state, they may not be able to reach out to them because of some of them funding, because most organizations run with funds, definitely, and they have programs that they are doing. So how can we impact in this particular thing? Because this, like you said from the beginning, this pandemic, this insecurity cannot be predicted. It happens anytime. What do you think should be put in place in case of all these things to avoid violence against women and girls? What do we think should be put in place to avoid violence against women and girls? That's the question. I don't know if Jane can give an answer to that. And anybody in the house, so you can give your own opinion. This is an open space. Everybody is free to give their ideas or opinion about this, please. So if you want to say anything, please kindly raise up your hand. Jane, are you still there? Hello, Tatenda.
Yes, sorry, I was muted. I'm here.
Okay, okay. So do you have anything to say about that?
Sorry. Hello?
Yes, Tatenda. Well,
Yes.
based on insecurities and floodings or natural disasters and how they affect the girls and gender-based violence generally, how it affects it, how it increases it. Do you have anything to say about how it could be managed? How pandemics and natural disasters affect them?
Yes, actually, recently we've been working on the intersection of gender and climate change adaptations. So the thing is, we were advocating for women participation in climate change. What can I say? Like climate change decision-making processes, because it's usually women who are most affected with climate change disasters, even with COVID-19. So if they are put on these decision-making processes, if they're given a lead so that they can implement solutions that are aligned with the needs of women, I think that would be very helpful for women mostly. if women, and especially those from vulnerable groups like disabled women, because for the disabled people, climate disaster mostly it makes them it affects them in terms of mobility. They cannot move from one place to another as quickly as much as able-bodied people. So these people, the vulnerable and women, should be put in these leadership positions and be given a voice to talk about their concerns, so that they give solutions that are more in line, that are aligned more to women. Yeah. Sorry, I cannot
Okay.
hear
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for that, Jane. Thank you very much. That's a very nice one. What Tatenda Jane say that I actually love is about policy putting in place, like planning ahead. Every society, every nation should put in place things that can actually take care of these incidents when it comes, so that it won't be like people running that's like that, because most of them are displaced. They don't have any houses to be, and there's no proper place for them to be. I think government should make uh, a preparation, let me say a ahead preparation, I don't know. We should put that in policy to make sure everybody is secured, because these things, we may be saying it, like our people that have experienced it, I know what they are passing through. Some of them, their stories, like so many things that they have passed through that we can't even say now. Some of them, they lost their jobs. Some of them, they can't feed themselves. And these things are going on and on. And it's the end of it all is that women are exposed to danger, and there are so many violence carried on against them. Okay, when we started, Joe Maria asked a question about laws protecting women. Jane, are you still there? Sorry.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, about laws protecting women. And you said something about, when you were making your presentation, about something about the prevention strategy of the government is very low in Sudan and Libya, right?
Yes, mostly I was referring to for refugees and internally
Okay.
displaced persons,
Okay.
because they mostly ignore them because they're focusing more on the major matters that they're facing, like the civil wars. But then I wanted to talk about the legislation with regards to sexual harassment, giving
Yes,
an
yes.
example to giving Egypt as an example, that the first legislation that criminalized sexual harassment in the country was established only in June 2014. So although this was a step in the right direction, I think it came a little too late, because it actually shows the normalcy that is there in discriminating against women and treating them as objects. And it shows how patriarchy and male dominance in the country and the region as a whole are deeply ingrained in these communities, also in the region as well. So it actually shows us how much work is needed, the amount of work that is needed in addressing this pervasive problems of GBV in the region.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. Okay, Kempia, before she left, also share with us that there are laws that protect people from gender-based violence in Nigeria. Jo Maria was asking question if there is actually law, and she made mention that the Constitution of the Federal Government of Nigeria, against violence against Person Act in 2015, NAPTIP Act 2015. So she lists some of the constitution that against violence against person, definitely against women too and girls. And also I don't know if there's anybody that wants, like I was saying, if you want to make any contribution about this particular topic, about insecurities and pandemic, increasing violence against women and girls, opening women to dangers, what can be done? What can be done as an individual, as governments, as NGO, wherever we are, what can be done to prevent this violence against women, especially during this period of insecurity? Please give your opinion. I don't know if anybody wants to talk, please raise up your hand. Let's make this an interesting. I can see new people joining in. You're welcome. And though the summit is about going to an end, but you can still give your opinion about what we are talking about right now. How do you think we can protect women during this pandemic period? Anyone? Okay.
Okay. I think I would like to add that
Okay, somebody is raising up our hand. Please, you can unmute and ask your question and make your contribution.
Yeah. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just to add to what the team said so far, it is important that.
I think I would like to add that if somebody is raising up,
are we together? Are we together?
Yes, yes.
yes, sir, please continue.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. This is a very critical time and season for us women and girls. And we have raised our voice, we've spoken, we've shouted, we've cried, but it is important that we put in place within among ourselves mechanisms that can be able to bring an end to violence against women and girls. We've seen cases, especially during this critical time of floods everywhere, particularly in some parts of the country, as in Nigeria. We've seen cases where, women become more vulnerable to compete with the available resources. And what are the mechanisms in place? What are the support system in place? We've had emergency authority in charge of the emergency unit. Their response, I mean, it's the onus now falls on the women to speak out on incidents of violence wherever it happens. And then the civil society actors, the civil actors should be able to be on ground to be able to defend and support women at risk of violence at any point in time. We want to actually call on the Nigerian to actually put mechanisms in place, because normally, of course, in time like this, especially we were able to fight and came out of COVID. We came out of COVID. Okay, now before we could know, the next thing we experienced is the floods that practically came in such a way that we never thought of. Even though the agency in charge of natural disasters and floods has alerted, but then it happened in some parts of the country that they were actually nothing on ground to be able to for women to fall on, and of course women and children. So it is important that the civil actors, the frontline human rights defenders should be able to put their mechanism, because of course government cannot do all. But if the civil society organization and women rights groups could be able to position themselves at every corner of the country to be able to make women have access to speak up mechanisms. I would really like to speak on that, like what the African Girls is doing.
Yeah, speak up and leave.
Putting in place the mechanisms and encouraging women to speak up. It should be the best and the most effective ways to be able to address the issue of sexual and gender-based violence. Of course, child marriage is one of the key examples of gender-based violence. Of course, one of the one of the most severe part of domestic violence, aside from FGM. Of course, physical, physical beating and all of that. As a woman, if somebody beats you, you can run away. But as a child, you actually try to not have anywhere to go to first in the first, because this is your home. And then your parents are now taking decision. We are in a culture or society where whatever your parents said, you have to obey. So of course, this is more critical for children, it's more critical for women. So the civil actors, the frontline human rights defenders should be able to propagate, duplicate what the age is doing to see how women can be able to speak up. I commend the effort of some of our women frontline activists who are speaking out today. We commend their efforts. Speaking out is one of the first steps in receiving healing or in getting help or assistance. So I want to say, in this time where the country is still battering to come out of the flood, the impact of it, a whole lot of facilities, schools have been destroyed, businesses, and of course we have insecurities here and there, and then the election is ongoing. Yeah. Women will be more at risk, even as we are going into the poll. Women will be more at risk. They will be cowed with palliatives and all of that. I don't know, we've not even talked about issue of violence concerning the election, the violence concerning election. These are another issues to be raised so that we can be able to prepare women, not just in this meeting, but across the board, across the country, in geopolitical, 6 geopolitical zone, for them to be part and know that their rights, their security, their safety is guaranteed as they're going to vote in the forthcoming general election. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Solomon. Yes, definitely network connection. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, yeah. So, okay, Tatenda, you're raising up your hand. You want to say something?
Yes, I want to add on to what he was saying about what we can do to address this problem further. I think that we also need to look into implementing more projects that promote men, that focus more on men and boys. Because I know that there's gender-based violence towards males, but then in this case, I'm saying that we need projects that sensitize men, that focus on men and sensitize them about the implications of GBV, especially from a very young age, so that they grow up knowing what is wrong and what is right, about the attitude, the behavior, and just to grow up knowing that violence against women is bad and that there are laws that protect these women. Only
that's a very nice point. Yeah. That's a very nice point, Jane. Thanks for that. Okay, we have another hands up. Lami Bukoya C. Sorry, I don't know if I pronounced that way.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello.
My name is Lami Bukoya Kase. I'm from Enlightenment and Empowerment of Northern Initiative, Kano State. My contribution on this gender-based violence issue is that in Kano, what we did is that we create an awareness in secondary school, girls' secondary school. We make them the champions to report any form of gender violence, and we create awareness. We give them more education, even in the society. If they discover that there is anything to do with gender-based violence, we give them our number and everything so that they should keep on reporting to us. You see, this is another achievement. When you go to girls' secondary school, there's a lot of gender-based violence, even within the teachers and the student, there is. So if we if we create awareness in
Yes.
girls' secondary school, there will be less gender-based violence problem. I think this is my contribution toward this 16 days of activism. Thank you.
Yeah, that's so great. Ma, thank you so much
very much,
for
Miss
contributing.
Great day. Wow, I don't know anybody any opinion to what you can.
Okay, Margaret, please, if I could
Okay,
add.
okay, you're still raising up your hand. I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to add. Who's raising up the person's hand? Me?
I can't hear you. Say what?
I wanted to ask Mrs. Lamy a question. One of the things I noticed is that gender-based violence is everywhere in Nigeria and all around Africa. But that of the North is kind of
Lamy. I guess yes,
yes.
I already make this thing, yeah.
Okay, so I was trying to say what their initiative is perfect, is awesome. The fact that they go to secondary schools and enlighten these young girls and make them champions of their own future. Now, I want to know what steps they take towards punishing offenders when they discover or a case is reported to them. What do they do about the man, the boy that committed the crime? If please you could answer.
You see, this gender-based violence are low. Now, even last week, we were at the Kano State House of Assembly. We want them to make a law that every person that was being caught in this an act should be punished. We went to the Kano State Assembly, and luckily, the law is almost 90% going to be passed, because from there, we moved to Ministry of Justice, and even the Attorney General come out and address us that, yes, they are on it. You see, we have joined hands with lawyers, Association of FEIDA, and a lot of organizations, NAPTIC, and all those things. We join hands together to see that the appropriators should be punished. And even in the society, what we did is to create awareness that even those survivors should not be discriminated in the society. There's a program that we did. We even go to the village heads and so forth to create awareness that there should be no discriminating or stigmatization to the client. So this is what we do. But now in Kano, we are pushing, and we expect justice at last. Like in Jigawa now, when it has passed a law that if they count somebody who raped a girl, he's going to jail, and if somebody came to bail him, he will join him in this in the prison too. So we are working on it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much. That's awesome contribution there. Okay, so Margaret. Okay, sorry, little network challenges. Margaret, we can continue now.
Okay, sorry, I was having small network challenge. Okay, I can see another ends of Mrs. Amina Anga.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma. It's nice to have you here. Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So I just wanted to quickly share. Okay, so I'm Amina Hanga from Isawali Empowerment Initiative. We're based here in Kano. So what we have been doing on GBV, ending GBV, what we've realized is that people don't even know what GBV is. So we train, we raise awareness among parents themselves, because even if children themselves are aware, because we do work with children as well, but if their parents are not aware, it's a bit difficult to end for it to stop. So we do raise awareness for parents to know the different kinds of GBV. Even teachers in schools, for them to know, because as Lamis mentioned, it happens in schools. And we've seen in the schools that we work in that teachers have changed in the way they work or in the way they treat their students, especially female teachers. And because they were never aware that what they were doing was actually gender-based violence. So there's that change that is happening. We also train male champions to know what is gender-based violence so that they can raise awareness in the communities as well. So males, we have what we call safe spaces. So male champions have safe spaces for male youth, and they step down what they have learned, educating them about gender-based violence and their roles in making sure that they are not perpetuating it. And then we also we set up community response teams, because if cases are being reported, you need to have somewhere to report. So these male champions, these teachers, the students themselves, the community members themselves, they all know about these community response teams. So we have the community response teams, and then we also have the same kind of response team within the schools, which have members of SBMC and other teachers, GNC, all of those are members. So when cases come, it's reported to these response teams who handle the cases. And of course, and if it is anything to do with sexual or rape or anything, then yes, it's reported to the police. So this is what we have been doing through our safe spaces, through community awareness, setting up these response teams. We also train community-based paralegals so that they are also handling cases in the communities to take on any of these cases. Of course, they're not lawyers, but they're cases that mediation is all is needed. But where it is sexual cases, this is criminal in nature, then they know to take it to the police and to ensure that families don't back out, because that's another main challenge, that parents want to back out of reporting cases. So these are a lot of the things that we're doing, and it's really working. And of course, we are together, like with Lami, trying to push, because Kano State, unfortunately, is one of the last 2 states in the country to still pass the child protection bill. So we're still working on that. Just last week, there was a public hearing on it, and the State House of Assembly have promised that they're going to work to push it forward. So we pray so. The Violence Against Persons Protection Bill is also still to be passed. So we're still pushing Kano State to pass these 2 bills that will give added protection. But in the meantime, while we wait for that to happen, we try to educate people about these gender-based violence and the different forms of gender-based violence, because people don't even realize being abusive is a form of gender-based violence. They think, so I remember a woman telling us after she learned, and she was actually, because we also train civil society organizations, CBOs as well. And one of them from a CBO said to us after the training, she said, I never knew that the way I always shout at my son, abuse him, that was gender-based violence. And I promise I'll never do it again. A few months later, we met again, and the same woman stood up in the group and said the promise she made, she kept it. And the feedback she got was her son saying to her, Mama, you have changed. You're so much nicer. You no longer abuse me or anything like that. And so the relationship between herself and her son, she said, has improved so much because of that change. So it's really the main thing is that people are not even aware that what they're doing is gender-based violence. And so we really need to do a lot more sensitization around it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you for a wonderful contribution, and kudos to your organization. They are really doing well. This is one of the reasons why
Sure, they are
Age
doing
Network is one of the reasons why Age Network brought up this initiative to bring everybody from everywhere to share their stories. It shows how much work is being done and that we're actually on the right path if we could have more and more people speak up and give their input on this. Thank you so much, Ma.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, now moving forward.
Okay, one thing on that, we thank everybody for your contribution over the last discussions that we have. There's a breaking the silent culture among women, even in the incident of insecurity. We should not stop creating awareness. Awareness, I think, knowledge, they say, is power. And when you have it, you are powerful. And most of those things, girls keep quiet because they don't have somebody to actually talk to them, or they have not met somebody that we actually put them through. So it's very important. We have been going to schools also over here, and some of the things we hear from these girls, they are so like, we are so surprised, like, why seriously, really? And it's always like that, because why me too, I was growing up, there are so many things I didn't get to know of. In fact, I was telling some of these girls, I wish I had the opportunity of somebody coming out to explain to me all these things right when I was growing up, because there are some things that really affect you if they happen to you while you are small. When you keep on going on, it turns you to what you don't want to become. And if you don't have a supportive family, like Mrs. Amina said, it's really very bad. So it's very important for us as individuals, as civil organization, wherever we find ourselves, to educate and sensitize people about the evil of gender-based violence. It kills. In fact, it's very bad. So let's say no to gender-based violence wherever we are. Let's even when governments are not putting things in much, we should advocate more for them to put things in place to avoid cases of the gender violence. Like we talk about flood and so many things, because people are not in secured places and they are not able to do anything. Please let us work together to end this violence against women and girls. Please,
okay. Today has been very enlightening for me, and I believe for everyone who happened to join. We would like to thank everyone that showed up. Thanks to Mrs. Amina and Lami that came to give very insightful input into the discussion. Thank to the man who also added a very wonderful step towards it, which is having more girls speak up. So to end today's very wonderful session, we will be reading out a poem by Ovia Annabel from Nigeria, Suleja, Niger State to be precise. The violence every day leads to pain, and the feelings that no one would understand leads to constant fear, while the reaction from people's face when they see you lead to stigmatization and causes the heart to bleed and be broken. The broken heart leads to depression and silence in the mouth. Morning was an enemy, while the night was like a close friend. Suicide was the only option either way. Now, this is a very touching poem. Suicide is not just physical, it can also be mental, where some women just lock up and give up all their creativity. They give up all
like they are dead internally.
Yeah,
nothing
they're just
them is what we do.
living corpses, those that go through genital mutilation, for example, they no longer have any pleasure from sex that was supposed to be pleasurable in marriage. Now they are just there like wood. All this, it's very painful. But we would like to advise that suicide should not be your case. Speak up and heal. Thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah, from here, from African Girls Empowerment Network, we say thank you all for joining in. It has been
Thank
an
you.
amazing, educative, insightful moment for everybody, from Jane to Kempia to Etajo Maria, to everyone that participate and give their opinion about gender-based violence and what should be done. Please, let's work together to end violence against women. It can't be done by one person. It will look as if that person is mad. Let us work together and end violence against women. And I pray that even after a year, when we go out, we find things to do more. I'm very sure we have learned a lot from here to put in place to end gender-based violence in our community. Faith, do you have anything to say before we say goodbye?
I'll say join us again next time on another episode when we'll have it. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. The replays can be found on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search African Girls Network and you'll find the replays. Do well to share to others. Let them know what is going on. Thank you so much.
Okay, I don't know if we can take a group picture before we go. We weren't able to take it that time. So I don't know if we can all on our camera and say goodbye.
Yeah, to just take a few seconds, please, can we have our cameras on?
I'm sorry, I'm not going to do so. I haven't.
Okay.
I have my picture on my Zoom this thing now, on my Zoom DP.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
I think we'll just use that like that.
We use that, we manage that.
Any other person, please put on your cameras. Destiny, Esther, Comfort. Oh, thank you so much, Esther. Thank you, Esther. Now Comfort, Destiny, Tatenda, if you are still there, please can you put on your camera?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Ms. Busola is also around. Thank you. Please, Ma, can you put on your camera too?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm grateful.
Yes, Tatenda, thank you for joining us. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Busola. Thank you so much. More grease to your elbow. You are doing amazing. Thank you. Tatenda, thank you for the beautiful insights you gave on it. Great job in Egypt. We pray you do greater and bigger things. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Seriously,
thank you so much.
You
are wonderful women conquering GBV in the north, in the far north, as far as Kano. That is awesome. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Margaret, for your wonderful work, for the beautiful slides. We are so grateful.
Thank you, Faith. I really enjoyed this moment with you. I enjoyed this event with you. Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye, everyone.
Yes, bye, everybody.
Have a nice day ahead.
Bye,
Bye.
Bye.